Welcome to Martial Mentality, a martial arts inspired podcast. I'm your host, Delmar Minor, and of course, I got my boy, Joseph Blackwelder, the coach.
What's up?
What's up, coach?
Not much. How's it going, Sifu?
Good, sir. Good, sir.
Good.
So before I hop into this topic for today, I just want to let everybody know out there that our boy Joe is getting ready for his first jiu-jitsu competition.
Hey.
So, Joe, when is your competition? And
August 1st.
August 1st. Okay.
Yep. August 1st in Concord, North Carolina. I don't really know all the details on the. I should know by now, but it's August 1st in Concord. I can't remember the location right off the top of my head, but we can post them in the comments. Or something like that.
And you just got promoted too, as well.
I got another stripe.
You just got another stripe. Congratulations!
Yes, Thank you, sir.
Again.
I appreciate it.
And so, like I said before, I'll intertwine my other questions with you about your competition later. But let's just hop into the topic.
Yeah.
So, Joe, should history be an important portion of a martial arts curriculum?
That's a big question. It's like I can't just say no or yes right off the bat. But this is definitely a biased opinion, But trying to think from the outside looking in, I think it depends on what you're going for, what you're teaching exactly. Okay. And as from the student standpoint, well, we'll get to that later. You're probably going to ask, you said like, does it help you? Does it not? Like that kind of thing. And then this goes back to our old podcast, traditional, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's a traditional martial art in the sense that we say traditional, absolutely. History should be a part of it. But if you're running a gym where the sole purpose is like competing, then I think history's still important, but I don't know how many people are coming there to sit down and learn history.
Right.
They're when they're trying to get in like a cage or a ring or box, whatever it is. Right.
So okay. So you make a good point. So let's use an example. So let's say you're going to a boxing gym, right?
Right.
Never boxed before.
Yeah.
Do you think as a new boxer, it is important to know the history of boxing?
I think to some degree, yes. You want to study. I would, if I was serious about it, let me put it like this. Like day one, if I'm brand new, like I need to learn fundamentals, obviously. You're going to do fundamentals for forever. But like at some point, if you're serious about it, why would you not study history and like the greats of the sport? What made them great? What they're good at, different styles of boxing, like from around the world.
Right.
So absolutely it should be part of it. That's kind of the way I see it. Like, it's kind of like, I guess the best example I can think of right off the bat is like, you ever hear people who's like, have you seen such and such movie? And it's like, no, I haven't seen it. They're like, what? You haven't seen this movie? Like, oh my gosh, like I was training at one place where there was a person that was getting into fighting and mixed martial arts, getting their feet wet and competing.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of like, I was giving them an example of like this combination. And I was like, yes, from Bas Rutten. And I was like, you know who that is, right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what? You don't know who this person is? Like, how could you not know who this person is if you're getting into the sport? But I was like, there's so much to be learned from all these greats from it and from the history of it that it can help you.
You make a good point. I never thought about it like that.
Right. It's not just learning, like we do lineage and things like that. It's not just that, though. It's like, I'm a firm believer, and this is part of the reason I train more than one place. It's not just different styles. It's that I have this mentality that you try to learn from everyone you cross paths with.
And you should.
Right, and you should. And so why would you not try to take knowledge from and then there's always contradicting information. Like one person at one gym may tell you something than another. Figure out why they tell you. Why are they explaining it that way? Why do they say this is right, this is wrong? And then you have to make it work for you.
So today in class, we actually did a history session. Granted, it took all class, but sometimes I think it's good to do that.
Yeah.
Particularly with the style and system that we're doing. A lot of the students don't know really what they're doing. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
They just know they're doing a martial art. They know, hey, this works for me.
Well, I don't know the right word for it, but like from a person probably who doesn't train, if you say boxing, they got an idea.
Right.
When you say, well, I guess Golly, my head's not working in the right way right now. It's like thinking broad, but say like wrestling. Okay, you got some idea.
Right.
Boxing, you got some idea. When you start to get into those Asian martial arts or traditional martial arts, it becomes a little more mysterious.
Right,
mystic.
like Kung Fu.
Kung Fu's the biggest one. Even most people, when you hear karate, they got some kind of idea. Taekwondo, they know it's big on kicking. When they hear Kung Fu, it's like they don't have a clue.
A lot of people don't, surprisingly.
Right.
And for me personally, like tonight, okay, so what I did with the class is I said, hey, we're just going to quickly talk about a little history about our school. And then we're going to talk about just a brief, quick overview of our styling system. Like, so I went through our SAS chart and I kind of even went down and said, okay, well, this form is for da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was taught by ba-da-da-da-da, like just trying to like let people know why this was like this. And I even broke it down to the point where I said, this is why they're arranged like this.
Yeah.
So you can understand, like, we're trying to build these skills, and that's why you learn this before this, and da-da-da-da-da, and X, Y, and Z. And so I think it helps people kind of get more of an understanding of what came before.
Mm-hmm. Why we train the way we train.
Why we're doing what we're doing, and kind of where you're going. And so, like, you're not so clueless when you say something like, oh, you're training Liam Boo.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has an idea of what you mean when you say that.
Right.
Or you say something like, post the announcement. People go, oh, okay, I have an idea. And by the way, those are like lyrics and names of forms and sets and things like that, we do here at the Kung Fu School. But if you don't have an idea of what that means, you won't kind of pick up the lingo. So
a lot of gyms have their own kind of lingo and like every gym has its own culture, period. That's not just a Kung Fu thing. Like some gyms have they have words that they shout from like their corners to their fighters to let them know what to do. Like from a wrestling standpoint too.
Right. Right.
So,
but again, you make a good point about learning the history of something may teach you about something to do or not to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did such and such get invented because of wartime, or did it get invented for sport, or for self-defense? A lot of those things can help you kind of wrap your head around it. And you've said this before, and I believe it too. Like even language barriers can kind of have differences in their meaning.
It's funny you say that because particularly when you do a martial art like karate. Okay, I'm a personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing a little judo.
Yep.
And doing the moves is one thing.
Yeah.
But in order to really, from my point of view, to learn what I'm doing, I'm going to have to learn what these words are and why they're called what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there's a judo throw called tomonage.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the...
Yeah, so most people translate it to sacrifice.
Right.
So when you hear the word sacrifice, you think one thing. But the way it was explained to me, and I'm not a judo expert, but it was mainly more or less not necessarily sacrifice, but to abandon your position to take them out of position.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense.
I kind of think of it as like, if you pull it off, well, there's a lot of moves in wrestling that's like combat in general. Don't even let me say wrestling. Risk reward type things. Some things are low risk, high reward. Some things are high risk,
high reward.
Right. And it's just one of those that's high risk, because if it goes wrong, you're in a very bad position.
Correct.
If it goes right, you're in a much better position.
You're in a much better position. So when he said that, because like everybody that I've ever talked to always call tomonage sacrifice throw, sacrifice throw.
I did think I hear that. Even read it the first time.
Yeah, that's what you see.
So.
But when it was explained as abandoning your position, it made me think like, okay, well, that makes sense, because sometimes in fighting, you do abandon your position to try to take them out of position to gain a more advantageous position.
Right. Take our example from last weekend. I'm going to beat myself up for not knowing the name. Is something Onage? Tommy? It starts with a T. Either way, it's in English, it's like valley drop. It's like from the headlock. Something Atashi. Tai Atashi.
Was it a Tai Atashi?
Is it? Yeah. I think that's it.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't hear him say the word.
So. Either way, it's like they've got you well, we drilled it from like a headlock position, right? Like, but even if you're just on the person's side, you can pull that move off. Like, and the way he was explaining it is like, if in a real situation somebody gets you in that headlock position, you can do this in order to come out in a better position. Whereas, like, if I'm training for Swai Jiao specifically, I can't do that move.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's very true.
They'll get the point.
That's very true.
So context can matter.
Can matter. You're right. And I like what you said about language barrier, because that kind of goes with history, because the way something is explained may not translate over into English well sometimes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and judo's a great example of this, because understanding the names of the throws kind of tells you what to do.
Yeah. Because each word usually translates to some kind of like, it's sweep, hip throw, like different things like
right.
that. So you can have some kind of idea of what it's getting at.
So let me ask you this. So I know I asked about your jujitsu. Is that something in your jujitsu that you're maybe learning? Like this name or this, that, or do they do that? I've
got very, very, very brief history lessons, but like that's not a typical day in any place I've been, which hasn't been a lot of places, but like it's like our jujitsu came from such and such. Brazilian jiu-jitsu has not been around very long in the grand scheme of things,
right?
Compared to Kung Fu or just wrestling in general, Greco-Roman, like things like that. But you get brief lessons. We don't go in depth or have class sessions on it, though, from my experience yet. So, but there are contextual things like self-defense versus competition for sure. For sure, they do that. So I always appreciate that. Because I want to teach self-defense. So
I think for me, I was always brought up with history being a part of martial culture. No matter like what I'm studying.
Right. Even when I did train boxing, or even when just the word boxing comes in my head, where my head goes? It doesn't go to like competition or the training. I love the training, but it goes to like, when I hear boxing, my head goes to the culture of like New York style boxing. You know what I mean? Like that old timey coach in the corner, like that. I don't know. Like that's where my head goes.
No,
like,
I get it.
You kind of get where I'm going.
I know what you're talking
about.
Like,
yeah. Even though it didn't come from there, and there's a lot of like different style boxing all over the world, like the Mexican style boxing. That's one of the more well known, or I don't know. Not saying well known as people know how to do it. It's just like when they hear boxing and they say Mexican boxing, they know that they're really good at it.
Well, see, you just made a point. I don't think you even realized, because some of the history of boxing. I bet you most people who are listening were like, there's different styles of boxing?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I recently learned this. A lot of people know the word Muay Thai. Muay Thai gets broken down into different styles.
That too, right? Yeah.
I didn't really know that. I did know about Muay Thai, and then there's Muay Baran. I knew about that, but even Muay Thai has different, and I can't speak Thai, so I'm not even going to try, but like it gets broken down, and some styles are heavy on different things.
Right.
The combination, some are more heavy on the elbows and knees, some are really heavy on the clinch, so it's kind of all encompassing of all these things, but different styles are bigger on different things.
So again, it seems to me like having some kind of historical context, some kind of knowledge about what you're doing can help you be able to do what you're doing better.
Once you dip your toes into Kung Fu, it's, oh my goodness, like there's so many styles of Kung Fu, but once you dip into the history, you understand why.
That's true.
For one, like the time period, the war era, but then even after the kind of turn of, what do you say? Nate would be the guy to talk about this.
Oh, you're talking about the Cultural Revolution.
The Cultural Revolution in China, right? Like when Wushu started and all that, and then like it changed. And then the gang culture too. Like that probably had a big part to do with why there's these different big parts of Kung Fu where I say this style works, this doesn't,
I'll give you a little historical context. What happened with so you got to realize how big China is. China's huge, you know?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
And so like a lot of times back in the day, you had a lot of family systems.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. That makes
family,
sense.
your family may have a system of self-protection that you learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe this family, that's why my family.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the my family was famous for its
Yep. I read into that a little bit one time.
its martial mentality,
family
its culture.
Tongbe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you think about it, like there were certain families and certain systems and certain sects and groups that had fighting skills that were like, oh, wow, these guys are good, you know?
Right.
And so people want to learn that or employ them and things of that nature. But again, and what you would see is you would see certain other systems of martial art take those styles or systems and say, oh, yeah, we got to teach that because the Ma family, their broadsword technique is phenomenal.
Right. And like, as much as people want to hate on that kind of stuff, it still exists right now. Like, the big thing is MMA, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you hear them talking about? Like, they're from this camp. Yep. They're from this camp.
Yep.
Like, it's still different kind of martial arts. You get people that are heavy in karate or heavy in wrestling or jiu-jitsu, and it's like, it's the same. It's the same thing. They're doing the same thing.
Well, you know, it's funny because like, and I don't want to go too much into lineage because I like to make that another podcast, but let's talk about lineage. When you say certain names, they hold weight.
Absolutely. This guy's from John Jones' camp.
Oh, wow. Really?
This guy's from like Khabib's camp.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Machado.
Right.
Oh, man. Gracie.
Right.
Oh.
Right. All those names carry weight.
They carry weight.
Yep.
And so when you say that, people look at you differently.
Yeah.
They do. And so like, you know, now, while it may not be the same as saying, oh, you know, I train with Ip Man or I train with Bruce Lee or whatever.
Right.
But again, it's that same concept where you shoot a name out there, people know, people are like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tend to respect you a little bit more.
Right.
You kind of know what you're talking about a little bit more.
Yeah, that's heavily influenced, I think, just, well, yeah, by the media, you know, like everything is like, see, we get to see fighters fight in like UFC and stuff like that. That's one of the big ones. And boxing, you know, like there's not really like the only thing as far as like Chinese martial arts would be like Sanda competitions that we could watch, you know. But it's less well known, but like most people out there don't really watch it, right? Even the people that don't train, like they know about UFC, right? But like they may not know what Sanda is. And it's just heavily driven by the media as to like their influence on it.
That's true.
You know,
that's true. The one thing like jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts and boxing and even wrestling, those things have done a really good job promoting themselves.
Yeah.
And so people know what they are, even if they don't study or train.
Right. And then like Sambo, you know, some people know Sambo.
Right. Yeah, you know. But again, I think with the history piece, I think for me personally, what has made history more important were people I was around, because a lot of those old school martial artists that are hung around or who poured into me hammered history.
Yeah.
I will tell you the one man that was, I mean, a true martial arts historian, and I was like, man, you need to write a book, Master Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet so.
He would spit something and you would be like, what? How did you know that?
Right.
Like, you know, like I'm telling you,
he
was such a like wealth of knowledge, man.
Yeah.
And you go to his home and he have this library just full of books.
And
I mean, he would spit something and you just be like, huh? Or I mean, like it was impressive.
Right.
And like, I think from you know, studying a more, you know, traditional style, his skill, of course, made him legit.
Of course.
But his knowledge made him much more.
Oh, yeah. That proves it.
Yeah,
that alone proves it. It's like, just to, you know, even if you're not even talking about fighting, how do you get smart on a subject? It's like you study the past, essentially. You know what I mean? You study what's came before in order to drive what's coming next. You know, it's just the way it is. Like, so that alone should probably influence you to study some history, even if it comes to fighting, you know?
And I think
if you're serious about it.
I was going to say, if you're serious.
Yeah.
I think if you're just trying to learn some basic self-protection.
Right. You come in, you learn some
You don't need history.
Right.
You don't really need any history.
Right.
But if you want to call yourself like, I'll even say a fighter. You want to be a fighter? I think you need to learn some history.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Fighter, period. Like, definitely, if you call yourself a professional,
Right.
if you reach that level, you should know a few things. I feel like, knowledge wise, history wise.
I think if you want to be a teacher,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think if you want to be a martial arts instructor,
yeah,
you better know some history.
why do we do what we do? And then
Right.
there's history behind that.
Because people are gonna. So this is for you.
Yep.
People are gonna ask you questions.
Right.
They're gonna say, Coach
I watched
Joe.
a whole documentary on this one martial art that I'm really not that familiar with. And golly, I'm drawing such a blank tonight. Krav Maga. I was watching on like a documentary on what it is and how it originated and stuff. And I can't spit out all the facts right off the top of my head, especially right now. But like, he went in depth on this very subject of why he does what he does. Like a lot of it's weapon defense. A lot of it's like, protecting yourself in the streets where there is a lot of violence, so.
Well, and this goes back to, I'm going to say this. This goes back to why a lot of people on the internet are stupid and trolls and don't know what they're talking about. Because you'll have people go, well, I haven't seen Krav Maga in the ring, because it's not built to be.
And you live in your cozy little, from what I was learning, somewhere in like Middle East, right? Like
usually Israel.
Israeli, right?
Israeli
That's
martial art.
Okay, right, and that's what he was saying is like they do talk about de-escalation techniques, but not as much, because that's where you are. If you're in the wrong area, you are in danger of getting attacked, and you're not going to de-escalate it. Like you need to get out of there with, you know what I'm saying? And like for people just to say, "Oh, don't worry," like they're so full of it.
Again, it goes back to context, but like because you have historical knowledge, you have knowledge. Oh, well, duh, you're probably not going to see Krav Maga in an MMA ring.
And go back to the media thing, right? Like when it becomes like. People are drawn to like sports and stuff like that, and stuff that whatever blows up on the media, people flock to it and people do it.
Right.
So it's like it becomes like a census kind of thing. Like if you've got, say, 20 people doing such and such martial art, we'll call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then you've got like 2 people doing Kung Fu. Just the fact that you have more people doing it is going to give you a higher chance of one of those 20 people being successful at it.
Oh, that's
because
true.
It still comes down to the person, not the martial art.
That's true.
Like the martial art does, like a good Kung Fu practitioner could beat a good BJJ practitioner. And the opposite could be true.
That's true.
A good BJJ practitioner could beat a good Kung Fu. If it depends on the person. It's simple as that. Like, I don't care. I will argue that fact. Like, I've seen people argue that online and say, like, well, no, it has to be just the martial art. That is not true. Size matters. Like, there's so many factors. There's so many factors.
Variables,
too many variables. There's too many variables to say that martial art is the only factor. It will never be the only factor.
But see, again, I think it goes back to what we're talking about: historical context.
Yeah.
We have studied. Not only have we studied these arts, but even though I haven't done jiu-jitsu like that, I've done a little jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I've watched jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I've studied a little, I've some of the history, understanding some
start,
things. Why did it start? You know, things like that. So
yep.
I have a frame of mindset of, hey,
right,
okay, X, Y, and Z this, X, Y, and Z this.
Right.
I can make a true comparison and make a legitimate educational, what's the word I want to look, hypothesis.
Yeah.
About this subject.
Right. And it, like, you could help somebody, say somebody brand new walked in on the street and was like, I was thinking about doing jiu-jitsu. I'm checking out Kung Fu. I thought about MMA, boxing. And it's like, well, what are your goals? And then based on what they tell you, you can guide them one way or the other.
That's true.
Because you at least know enough about these different martial arts.
Mr. Chuck tonight.
Yeah.
Came by.
Right.
Hey, I've done blah, 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 blah.
I heard him saying he's a Kung Fu practitioner.
Yeah,
right?
So he trained at the Peaceful Dragon.
Like he's okay, yep.
For about 5 or 6 years.
He probably had some kind of swai jiao or wrestling.
I don't know, because they
we'll have to ask him.
They were popular for their swai jiao too.
Right. Right.
But I think he mainly did a lot of the internal aspects, the Tai Chi,
Tai Chi,
and things
okay.
like that,
Yeah.
which is good. And
Right.
so when we were having our history conversation, Mr. Chuck he was like, well, what about such and such and such? And he would say something, and I would say, oh, you're a studied man.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people wouldn't know that.
Right.
So
Right.
even then I knew, oh, you've done some research.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not just some Joe Blow. So in my mind, I already had respect for the man, but it made my respect level for him go up because I was like, oh, you're studied. You're not just, you're more serious.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I 100% agree. Like if you're serious about it, you should definitely learn some history and lineage. And then if you're going to teach, you have to. I feel like you have to. Absolutely. I think the only people who wouldn't really benefit a lot from it is, like you said, a person who has no interest in like competing or anything. They strictly want to come in and learn some self-defense and some moves that'll help them. Like they may not have to learn a ton of history. Some would still benefit them. Like why would you learn this system over this system? Like that would be beneficial, I think, but they may not need the deep dive into history, but some would benefit them. But there's still like foundational things that I feel like every martial art needs to have. Like you're gonna get some physical conditioning.
I agree.
You're gonna get like things like that. All your foundational stuff, like some footwork, some defense, some de-escalation stuff, all that kind of stuff. Weapon defense.
I think, like you're saying, okay, you go into a karate school and you say, oh, and this has happened to me. I went into side of school and I'm kind of like, oh, or I meet a practitioner. I say, oh, what style do you do? I don't know, karate.
Mm-hmm.
What? You don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
right.
So what did you learn? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because even if you said, oh, it's American freestyle, I'll take that answer.
Yeah.
I'll take that. But when people just say, I don't know, I just did karate.
Just karate.
I just did karate.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. If you say that in Kung Fu too, it's like they just exposed you.
They did.
I do Kung Fu. Who's your lineage? Like, what's your lineage?
What's your lineage?
Yeah. Right.
The normal thing that you'll normally, I think that's another reason why history became important to me, because when I started doing Kung Fu, that is like, it almost becomes like a rite of passage for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Who your Sifu? That's what you get.
Right. Yeah.
Who did your Sifu learn from?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what is your style about?
Right.
I don't know much about that style.
Right.
I mean, they will drill you.
Quiz you, yeah.
Quiz you.
Right.
Quiz you.
Yeah. It's, I think a lot of the people that say the negative stuff probably have never trained, but some may have trained very small amounts temporarily. And like we could take something as simple as like if somebody throws a jab at you, what do? And people argue because they learned maybe one thing or two things, but it's not even about the first thing you do. It's literally the game of chess.
Yes.
I could just block the punch. I could parry the punch. I could slip my head, I can pull, throw back. Like I can shoot a takedown, I can just back up and run away.
Yep.
I can tell them to calm down.
Yep.
I can punch them. I can like put my thumb in their eye.
You can do a lot of stuff.
You can do a lot of stuff. So for one person to say, when somebody's teaching like a parry or something, they say, oh, don't do that. Like they have no idea what they're talking about. And it's all contextual too. Am I in a boxing ring? Am I in the street? Is this guy just saying bad things about my mom? Or is this guy actually like trying to harm me or my family? That's a big difference too. Does he have a weapon? So I feel like people just need to shut up.
Well, it's funny. Like, so a good topic of why history for me matters would be the Wong Jack Man and Bruce Lee fight.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people online try to speak about that confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell that they have never read a book. They have never done any research. They have only
watched a couple movies.
Watched the movies.
Watched a couple movies.
Or listened to one account. Like they have not done enough.
I got a neighbor.
Research to really, I'm like, you have no idea what you're really talking about.
Anytime I talk to one of my neighbors, like he knows I do well, he probably couldn't even tell you what I do. I've told him kung fu, but he's like, he's one of them people. Like if I see him a week later, how's that karate going?
Yeah,
yeah. But it's like he'll say that, and I'll be like, it's going good. We're training. The kids are training. We're doing good. And then he's like, yeah, Bruce Lee couldn't touch that, Bruce Lee. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Most people don't even know that Bruce Lee was an American.
Right. Was he?
He was born in America.
Was he born in California?
He was born in San Francisco, I think.
Okay.
I think it may have been San Francisco, but California area.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of people don't know he's American.
Yeah.
They automatically think he's Chinese. Just because, yes, he is of Chinese descent, but
right.
he's an American.
Yeah.
He was an American, and a lot of people don't realize that. Or, some people know that he trained in Wing Chun, but a lot of people don't know. They know about Jeet Kune Do.
Yep.
But they don't know why Jeet Kune Do came about.
Yeah.
They don't know why. Really, there was no Jeet Kune Do until after his confrontation with Wong.
That
confrontation with Wong basically changed the way he started thinking about his training. So again, and I'm not gonna talk on this subject. I'll do this another day. But then it makes you consider things where everybody's like, oh well, he easily won that fight. And well, if you're a martial artist, most people don't change their philosophy unless something didn't go the way they wanted it to go. So
yeah,
even if you won, you struggled.
Yeah.
And something happened that made you rethink what you were doing because something wasn't working.
Yeah. Some people, like, going back to that kind of thing, it's like some people can train a week and just, like, you don't know nothing after a week. Like, you may have learned one or two tricks, like, but you don't have time, you don't have reps. You have to put some time and dedication into it,
right?
To form, like, in my opinion, not just to form an opinion. Everybody can have an opinion. That's well, we're blessed to be Americans, right?
Right.
You can have an opinion, but like for you to actually like progress in your training, or if you want to be well-rounded in self-defense, like we've said this before, minimum 6 months. Minimum.
I give you a minimum. Yeah.
Minimum of 6 months to like, if you want the bare minimum of like self-defense for walking out in the street, minimum 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's regular training.
Yeah, very regular training.
That's not one time a week. That's like 2 or 3 times a week.
4 to 5. I'd say, like, even if you're not just training, you better be working out on top of that. Maybe that's coming from me, the personal trainer, but that's my opinion. Like, you need to put some time into it, a few days a week.
You do. And again, repetition is the mother of learning. So if you're not putting in enough time and energy and study.
Yeah.
So again, like, I know we're talking about history and things like that, but I think what's happened to a lot of people in the martial community is they know, but they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have an idea because they see or they hear, but they don't do enough research to really know for themselves.
We didn't have a full-blown conversation on this earlier, but one of the coaches made in my opinion, a very great point. I agree with this. Everybody may not agree with this. You may not agree with this. But, like, we all know you need to break stuff down for people. You need to, like, if you're going through some kind of sequence, you have to do this, take a roundhouse kick.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's sequence. It's not like throw the kick and you're done with it. No, there's like steps that are involved, and you know this. And you break those down and you do it slow. Say you have like 30 minutes to do this, right? And you break this down for them, and then like you do it slow. How many reps do you really get? You want them to do it right first and foremost.
Right.
But after they know that sequence, you got to get the reps. Even if not all those reps are going to be good, but in your head, you need to know which one of those felt good and felt bad.
No, I agree with that.
Like, you do need to break it down at first, but like if all you do is like the slow reps, you're not getting the reps. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to eventually start putting in repetitions.
So I'll tell you, I did that last week. So last week when we did our little roundhouse kick workout.
Yeah.
Okay, we do a roundhouse kick. Like, so it was, you do one roundhouse kick, you do one push-up. You do 2 roundhouse kicks, you do 2 push-ups.
Yep.
Went all the way up to 10, right?
Right.
my mindset was, oh, well, I could go around and correct people and say, oh, no, your roundhouse kick is not quite right. You're not pivoting enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I said? Just do it.
Yep. Do
the kicks.
Do the reps. Yep.
Even if it sucks.
Yep.
Do the kicks. Because I did the workout too. So for me, I'm thinking about my form more.
Right. Right.
But other people may not. But guess what? Everybody got a good workout.
Yep.
Everybody learned something.
Right. I believe it is true that if you develop a bad habit, it's harder to break. That's true. That is 100% true. But like the one thing that he said that really kind of drove it home is like you said, if you're serious about it and you're actually trying to get better, the ones that you do correctly, they do stand out for sure. You know when you like, especially if you're holding one of the clapper things and you get everything right and you hit it hard, like. You may not do that every single time, but we're not all masters of we're not all kung fu masters, right? Like that's another thing. People, oh, you do kung fu? It's like you should be good at everything. It's like, no, I'm a practitioner, okay, not a freaking master. You know what I'm saying? I'll go hang out with some of my buddies. They'll be like, you kick this can off my head. I'm like, oh, I can try. If you want to let me try, I'm gonna probably kick you right in the face.
I think when people hear those terms, karate, kung fu, they think like you're some kind of mystic warrior.
Yeah, exactly. You're magic.
Like no, like I don't.
But like, take that kick in the can thing. But like, it's not that I'm magic and I can just do it. It's repetition that would get me there, though.
Right.
Like,
right.
I may not have perfect form, but if say I've like kicked something like that at that height 1,000 times, then yeah, absolutely,
easily.
I can do it easy.
Easy do it.
Repetition.
But again, I think you're right. Like. I go back to history. I just think like I'm blessed that I had people kind of pour into me and tell me about the things that I was doing. So like when I walk into an arena with maybe people that I don't know,
right?
Sometimes what gets me respect is the fact that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yep. I every place I've been, this one thing I can say, we break things down. And I much appreciate it because I've seen other places that don't go into as much detail, and it takes people longer to get things like simple as a roundhouse kick. I call it simple, but it's not. It can be harder than people think. You know what I mean? But those simple details, like that, help tremendously. And I won't come in there and say things like that right off the bat, but like if I have been in places where. Let me put it like this. I've been in places where I was the fish surrounded by sharks, and I've been in places where I felt like the shark. Like I've been training with people before, and we was all throwing kicks, and it was like I can just tell. Personally, I feel like I don't have the best kick because I've seen what a great kick looks like. You know what I'm saying? But still, in the environment that I'm in, mine's going to do some damage. And the form around, but I won't say nothing right off the bat. But if somebody like notices, it's like, well, then I'll start putting those little tidbits of information. Turn those hips over, like simple things like that. Point the knee, that all that, and then I'll try to do that. So, but there's a reason we do all those things, and part of it is like that's how it's been taught from all these different levels, all these different generations.
That's right, and. Again, it's funny you're saying that because like historical context and things like that, I'm not going to say that it can set you apart, but it can kind of give you an advantage sometimes on how you train, why you train, why, for example, like let's take the 10 Shaolin sets of the Northern Shaolin Kyu Chung lineage that we do, right? Shaolin 1 through 10, a lot of people back in the old days, you learn 1 through 10 numerically.
Yeah, right. I asked you that question before.
Right.
Yeah.
But from a teaching standpoint,
right, that's
not a good way to teach them.
Yeah.
So
we're not all living at the temple and can do this 8 hours a day.
Well, I mean, oh my goodness.
And we're not all starting from 4 years old either.
So
some of us are starting at 30.
Shaolin 1 has, make sure
front
I get
split,
this right, 69 moves in it.
Shoo.
When we say 69, that doesn't, in Kung Fu terms, that doesn't mean one.
One, right.
You know what I mean? Right. That may be one. Right.
Yeah.
So it's got 69 moves.
Yeah.
It's got 36 kicks in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good set.
The reason Shaolin 1 is called Open the Door. So this is why learning history is good. Okay. The reason it's called Open the Door is because it's the doorway to the system.
I see.
And if you didn't know how to kick, they were like, we're not going to teach you.
It probably teaches you those basic kicks and probably, again, personal trainer. It's probably partly physical conditioning.
Physical, yeah. It's hard to do. Even if you're in good shape, it's still hard to do.
I said this to my teacher the other day. Like, it just kind of came out organically, but it was like we were talking about jiu-jitsu or just martial arts in general. My teacher actually held some pads for me the other day.
Oh, that's cool.
It was boxing in class. Yeah. But either way, it's like, your strength and power, it enhances your technique, but it does not trump technique. You have to have technique.
You need to write that down.
Right.
That's a great
You
quote.
got to have technique, but then it'll be enhanced by your athleticism, But say you're one of these people who train for years and then you stop for years. And I don't mean stop and stay active, and I mean stop and get lazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you think you go out there and do those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like your body does not, your mind might want to do it, but your body won't catch up in time.
We've seen some people come into school that have had training, they've stopped and they've come back and trained, and you can tell it's still there.
Right.
Because they're missing one of those, maybe the technique's a little off.
Right.
Or maybe the athleticism's not where it used to be.
Right.
They're off.
It's not like they can't get it back. Like sometimes it's due to circumstances or injury. That's different. I'm saying simply just because they let themselves go, so to speak. It's not like they can get it back. But if they think they can jump in the ring and be like they was, it's, that alone proves that it's part of it. It's a big part of it, And, self-defense would be like 10 seconds or less, right? I think I asked AI the other day. It said less now. This is like 3 seconds or less is what it told me. I was like, no way.
So you think about it. Like, granted, you want to train to be as best as you can be.
If you're going to get in the ring, you're going to be doing 5-minute rounds in training. Right. Even if you're going for like an amateur 3-minute round, you're training for that endurance, right?
Right. But of course, in self-protection, maybe you don't need as much physical conditioning, but having it is great.
Yes. You need to have some.
Right.
You don't need to be this Olympic champion. I get that. We're not going to be running triathlons and training, right? But you need to be in good condition for whatever. Remember we said this, whatever that looks like for you.
Right.
Like, we can all give our advice and everything, but like you have to be honest with yourself in the mirror, right? Like, if something happened, could I take care of myself? You know what I'm saying? Like, not just from a technique standpoint and from a physical conditioning aspect.
So
there's always going to be somebody bigger and stronger than you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
but again, it goes back. If you understand martial history, you can look back at past battles, past bouts.
Yeah.
You can look back at things and go, oh, well, why did this guy beat this guy?
Yeah.
Or why did this group beat this group?
That is a big part of BJJ specifically. I don't know if it's that way in just regular jiu-jitsu, but BJJ, that is a part of it. It's for the little guy. 100%. It's for the little guy. That's why those little details matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not saying it guarantees you victory. Nothing guarantees you victory. Like Sensei John said that the other day. It's like, if there was one move that worked 100% of the time in any martial art, everybody would do it.
Everybody would do it.
So that's just not the way it works. But
well, and here's another aspect of history. Historical context shows us what works and what doesn't work per se. So we'll see something that works a lot, like a jab.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what most martial arts do now?
No jab.
Most people will jab because it works.
Right.
We've seen that it works.
You know what else history has taught us too? And I feel like some places don't do this. I haven't came across it, but I'm sure it's out there. But adaptation, like not just adaptation in the sense of like adapt, overcome, or like, if this person does this, you adapt. I mean, like in history, you adapt to the times and things like that. You have to. Let
me tell you a quick reason how I adapted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I first started teaching, of course, forms are important here, but
yes,
it was very forms heavy. So I thought, oh, well, if I teach you the form, you'll learn some of the martial techniques and it'll click eventually. No.
Yep. Right.
Didn't work.
Right.
Okay. What I started to do was go, you know what? let me go ahead and just give you some simple nuggets: jab, cross,
Right.
uppercut, da da da. You know, let's teach you these basic things,
Right.
so you can have some fighting skill under your belt already.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, as you become more serious,
Yeah.
then when I start teaching you these sets, I can show you a variation.
Right.
I can show you why that detail matters here and how this works, and you'll go, oh,
Right.
that's why we practice it.
Right.
You know, but if you but again, it may come down to person, because some people may be able to do the sets and be like, oh, I can pull that.
Yep.
But a lot of people were not able to.
Mm-hmm.
So when I changed my teaching method, I got more in return.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
historically, going back to what I was saying about Kuyu Chung and Shaolin number 1, they started to they realized, like, wait a second, trying to teach people Shaolin 1 wasn't the best way to teach new students, because not everybody could do that. I mean, you're only going to have how many people who can maybe pull
Right.
that off right from the beginning?
Right. Right. Not many.
Not many. So guess what? You go down the list and you look at it and say, well, Shaolin 6 has 37 moves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lowest of all the 10 sets. So guess what? We're going to teach that one first.
Yeah.
And then Shaolin 7 has 30. I think Shaolin 6 had 36. And then I think Shaolin 7 had 37.
Yeah.
So you teach. So a lot of times, like, you'll see, you know, you teach Shaolin 6, then
It's
you teach
like,
Shaolin 7, and da da da
I
da
think
da
it goes
da.
back to, well, history has changed that, right? For those reasons. Look at the target audience. Like, back then, they was probably starting these little kids,
Right.
from 4 to 5 years old, training however many hours a day. They was living this lifestyle. Here we are in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina.
That's right, beautiful.
You know, we get all kinds of different, like, people at these doors, you know, and depending on their goal, you might get a person who would walk through those doors and super athletic and wants to compete, and it's like, let me learn Shaolin 1. Okay, like, but like, look at the target audience, and then there's also this aspect of building them up.
Yeah, right. That.
You know what I mean? Building
Bingo.
them up, not weeding them out.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
I think in some respects you can kind of do both. If you can still build people up, but then I'm also a mindset of some people you got to weed out. You got to weed out the people who don't want to work, in my opinion.
Right.
I
think if they're willing to work, you can meet anybody where they're
right.
at.
Yeah. If you're willing to work, we can totally meet you. But there are
Right.
some people who walk through these doors and you don't want to work,
Yeah.
and you got to get out of here, because that's not the culture we have here.
Right.
And you're
not going to get any results.
right.
Man.
You're the bad apple in the batch.
Yep.
Not to say I would ever, you know, it's rare that I've ever had to kick anybody out these
Right.
doors.
Right.
But most people will see that, okay, this is not for me. Maybe I just need to move
There's
on.
one gym owner, I was watching some of his videos before, and he was on a podcast, and he was talking about, like, the culture of his gym. And this guy fights professionally, like, and trains professional fighters. But he also has people there that come in for fitness and stuff like that, and he lets them join. But, like, he said on the podcast, like, sometimes people will come in there that's like, they're clearly out of shape. They don't know anything, you know, and they might want to come in for a self-defense, and it's like they can try, you know what I'm saying? But this is not a ground zero kind of gym, and that's his that's the culture of that gym, and I totally get it. He won't slow down their pace to accommodate you, which is okay if that's his culture. I can't remember, like, that's the point I'm getting at, is, like, you know, I just thought it was interesting that, you know, he's like, he literally said, like, I literally don't want that kind of people in my gym. So, and I was like, I kind of get it, because this is your guys' living. You fight professionally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And, like, if you was to, like, spend all your time teaching, like, self-defense, it may take away from your training for what you do.
So here's some advice for maybe some people out here who are maybe not martial artists, and maybe you're looking to get into martial arts.
Yeah.
Look at the history of what you're thinking about doing. We have the internet now. You can Google the history of Kung Fu, the history of this style, this system, this
Northern
master,
Shaolin.
Northern Shaolin, boxing,
Yep.
this style of boxing, Sanda, whatever it is,
Muay Thai.
you can look it up and see, hey, is this something that may fit my interests or fit my goals?
Mm-hmm.
Even schools.
Right.
You Google the school. What's the history of this school?
Yeah. That was one of the big things I was going to talk about probably toward, I don't know, whenever we're near the end is like, if you're interested in martial arts, for one, do your due diligence in the different styles of martial arts, but think about what it is you're trying to get out of it. And once you pick a martial art, look at the schools around you, and it doesn't mean you need to pick the first one you go to. Go in there and train a bit, meet the coaches, meet the people who train there. Look at how they are. Like, are they good people? Are they happy? Are they happy where they're trained? Do they speak good about the coaches? Is the culture like the way you want it? Is it chill, down to earth? Is it hard working? And try a couple different places. Find a place that fits for you.
Yeah.
So.
And I also think I think you're right. I think you need to really kind of have a good understanding of what this gym or this school may want out of you. So like the gym that you were just talking about. If you know that this gym kind of is not for beginners.
Right.
And you're a beginner.
If maybe you are out of shape and you're looking to get in shape fast and you're willing to like put yourself through some hurt, get in there.
Do it.
Get in there and try it. You know what I'm saying?
Do it.
I would never discourage somebody from doing that. But like, if you want to kind of start a little slower, ease your way into things, and like you still want to learn to take care of yourself, you're not looking to fight professionally, maybe right off the bat you learn to self-defense, like check somewhere else out.
Right.
There's probably somewhere out there that's a better fit for you. It doesn't mean like you're not going to be working hard. It just means like, there are levels to it.
There are. Like I've learned, like I've learned kind of the history of our school has become, this is a place where, yes, people do learn martial arts, but I think people are really working on being a better version of themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one we don't ever talk about, especially I feel like fighters and martial artists don't talk about it a lot, but the fun factor, you're not going to do something if you're not enjoying it.
That's right.
Like, there is that whole thing about like working out and it's like, yeah, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and go run, but yada, yada, I do it because of discipline. But some part of you is going to enjoy it.
You got to have fun.
I may not like it. Like in some mornings I wake up and I don't want to do it, but I still do it. That's the discipline factor. But some part of you wants to do it. People do what they want to do, to put it simply.
They make time for what they want.
They make time for what they want. That's so true.
They make time.
And they don't make time for what they don't want to do.
That's true.
So for one, like, make sure it aligns with your goals, but do something you like to do. I tell people I started martial art. One of the big reasons was because I'm big into fitness and working out. This made it 10 times more fun for me. And I'm learning new skills.
Listen, let me tell you this. Look, I may have gained some weight, but I'll tell you this. The one thing that still keeps me active is the fact that I do martial arts. And if I didn't do martial arts, I probably wouldn't exercise like that.
Right.
I probably would be 500 pounds.
There's like power and momentum, and it can go either way. There's positive momentum and there's negative momentum. Like, usually when you develop a good habit, it'll lead to another good habit and another, as long as you stick with it, stay consistent. Mm-hmm. And martial art is one of those doors that will lead to other doors if you stick with it.
I'm telling you, like, I agree with you. And now you just said, is it fun? Heck, you can look at the history of something and be like, hey, is this a fun martial art? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is this a fun school?
Some people don't like a lot of physical contact. Like, you may not like wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Right. You know what I mean? Like, if you eventually get serious, like, I feel like it's good to dip your toes in all the 5 areas, right? That we talk about in Kung Fu. If you're serious about fighting, and if I was to teach self-defense, I would highly advise people at least dip their toes in all 5 of those areas. Like I said, punching, like arms, kind of like boxing, also elbows. The feet, you got like joint locks, wrestling, pressure points. Dip your feet, get your feet wet in all those areas.
Ti Na Shwai Da.
Yep, that's it.
You need to, right. Like, let me tell you what took I've told you this. Grappling took my fighting skill to another level. I 100%.
Right.
Like, when I started learning more grappling, more throws, more clinching, it took my fighting skill because now everything that I was learning went like it was like a flower blossom.
Right.
Because that movement now that I was doing, I went, oh, that's not a punch. That's a grip.
Yeah.
That's not a punch. That's not a kick. That's a throw.
Right. Right.
You know, and I could see it now. And it, when I was doing it, I'm like, okay, this is working for me. It was higher percentage.
And it's just, even from a self-defense aspect, to think, like, if you just want to do striking and that's what you love, more power to you.
Right.
Like, you know, that's what's fun to you. That's what you learn. Stick to your guns. Speaking strictly from a self-defense aspect, if you came in here and was brand new, well, you came to me and you was brand new and you said you wanted to learn self-defense, you're training under me, you're not like going to not learn any kind of grappling. You're going to get some grappling.
Oh yeah, you have
period.
You have
to think that that's not going to happen in a self-defense situation. In fact, it's probably more likely.
Yes.
Much more likely. What is a bully trying to do? They're trying to control you, grab you, put you down.
Yes.
So
yes,
you strike as a means to like get away.
Yes.
You know, like, but what happens when they get you in that position where you can't strike and you're grappling? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios.
Well,
there's a lot of scenarios. Like, you put the two together. You don't. There's no one thing.
And I think, you know, and this is where, again, you know, before we end this is why history is important, because we're studying and we know the historical context of just striking is not just the only thing you should do.
Right.
Maybe grappling is not the only thing that you should do.
Right.
A combination of those skills historically work well.
Right. It's somewhere in history.
Yes.
There was a reason for it. There was a reason for all these different martial arts somewhere in history. So you have to figure out what it is you want. And that's what's going to help you. Sure. Like, take the battlefield example. Would I want to take somebody to the ground on the battlefield? Probably not a smart idea.
Probably not.
Not a smart idea. We talk about it all the time in the street. Would I want to be on the ground, especially on the bottom? Like, probably not. Doesn't mean the fight's over.
Right.
But that's not where I'm going to put myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there's all types of scenarios like that to think about. And, you know, the history backs it. You know, why would a self-defense teacher teach the way he teaches? So you can't just say everything's wrong with going back to like the Krav Maga thing, you know. You just got to look at why they train the way they train.
Why they train the way they train. What's the context? What's the arena? What's the historical like you just said about that place in, you know, in Israel. Well, if that's the historical context of why they're doing what they're doing, well, that's going to change the way you approach the martial art.
Yep. We never even talked about sumo on this podcast either. That's a shame.
I guess I need
that's
to do
a martial art.
I need to do a little bit more research.
I'm like, oh man, I would love to, like, if some people around here actually did it, like I would get in there.
I think there's a place in Charlotte, isn't there?
I don't know.
I know North Carolina.
I haven't dug too
thing.
deep, but I'll check it out.
I know there's some sumo in North Carolina.
Yeah, that'd be fun. There's some similarities, you know, in like judo, but
look, all martial arts are good.
Yeah.
I eventually want to do. It's not what you train; it's who you train with.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But that's another podcast. So, Coach, you got anything before we get out of here, man?
I think we said quite a bit. So hopefully the audience enjoyed it. Maybe they learned something.
So, guys, let us know what you think. Do you think history is something that should be included in martial arts curriculum? Are you learning history in your martial arts curriculum?
In your curriculum, period. Like,
right.
Whether you're a student or at your work, you know, whatever it is, you know, history, we learn a lot from history.
We do. Let's just hope that some things in history don't repeat themselves.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
They do.
But this is Martial Mentality, and we are signing out, guys. Peace.